So really this funding will enable us to sort of pick up where we left off there and sort of implement the project. It will be producing within a very short time. We think as little as 2 months to get into production of ore.
Hello and welcome back to the Proactive Studio. I'm Tyler Tully and joining me today is West Wits Mining Executive Chairman Michael Quinnett to talk about its $1.5 million capital raise to advance its flagship Qala Shallows operations in South Africa. Michael, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us, Tyler.
You've successfully raised this capital. Let's just start with, where are the funds going?
Well, the main purpose for the capital raise was to ensure that we had sufficient funds to meet the out-of-pocket consultant costs associated with the due diligence the banks are doing. So this is something, it's a good cost to have, I suppose, that we're now so advanced into the due diligence that the banks have appointed their external consultants to finally sign off on the technical, environmental and legal aspects of the project. So that's generating quite a lot of costs, which banks, as they usually do, pass that off to the borrower. So that's why that was the catalyst for us deciding to do the capital raise. And we got a strong demand, so we took enough to ensure we had a very sort of comfortable position going into the end of the year and well into next year.
And I understand that you've got a couple of loans and fundings in the pipeline. Can you talk to us about these?
Yeah, the key for us is to sort out, in terms of the capital stack, to implement the project, the banking type funding, which is the core sort of foundation funding. And we're in advanced discussions, one with the IDC, which has been publicly disclosed previously in some detail. And what's happened is a commercial bank has come in and said, well, they'd like to join into a syndicated loan position with the IDC and make effectively a bigger facility to take a lot more of the funding through bank debt. So that's the process we're engaged with, is if you like, harmonising between the IDC and the new commercial bank what they want to do into a term sheet. And the second bank, or the commercial bank, is now undertaking its own due diligence, which we think will be finished by the end of this quarter, hopefully with a decision around then.
And let's talk about the Qala Shallows project itself. How is the mine developing?
It's great. We've done a lot of the preparatory work a few years ago. So the mine is actually really on the underground decline's been opened up. A lot of the pre-work, the infrastructure for the site has been established. Fencing, washrooms, change rooms, tool sheds, all that sort of stuff is there. So really, this funding will enable us to sort of pick up where we left off there and sort of implement the project. It will be producing within a very short time. We think as little as 2 months to get into production of ore. And then we will be stockpiling the ore for 5 or so months before starting to send it to the plant for processing. So it's really on a hair trigger, ready to go. And we're, with this funding sort of process is the last piece. People want us to get it finished quicker. We want to get it finished quicker, but these banks obviously they take a far more, if you like, conservative approach to the funding models and that than say a speculative investor does. So it takes time. They don't invest on a whim.
So what is next? What's the timeline that investors are sort of looking at?
We think the timeline for the banks, based on their guidance to us, is that by the end of the quarter, so end of September, we should have them through their credit committees and then moving to final documentation in the first weeks of October. That's our target timeline. Things can slip. At the moment, everything so far is pretty much on track and there's no red flags, but we're not through the process. They're well into the process. They've all done site visits. Their technical advisors have all been appointed, and they're all in the data room, and some of them are starting to write their reports. So, we're hopeful that timeline will be adhered to. But as people, I hope, will understand, it's not always of the companies doing the timing. We're hostage to third parties, and sometimes that doesn't just mean the bank or the financial institution. It may also mean their advisors take longer than expected. So we're hoping on that timeline, and we're looking like we will make that timeline. But I'm not making that as a sort of cast iron prediction.
Definitely exciting times for the company. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks, Tyler.